Learning for me is no joke. I like to say writing is in my veins. It's what I do, not because I have to do it, but because I want to. I cannot stop writing. I think it's what I will always do. That's because when I write, I learn. I am always learning, and for me, that's where most of my inner growth comes from. What we read about, we learn about. Life has a way of giving to us challenges, that's for certain. In school, I have to say those challenges are not taught about. While we learn the basics, math and language arts and social studies and social skills, these things do not prepare us for the life that is already planned ahead of us, for us. Life has a way of challenging us on what we know as opposed to what we think we know. As a kid, I hated the format of how we were all forced into learning in school. I tried to pay attention, but I'd rather just be outside, riding my bike, having fun. I wanted to live in freedom. I avoided studying and memorization like the plague. Today, I understand that I wasn't able to reach my potential in learning because the way I wanted to learn, the way that learning helped me, was different than what you see in school. I wanted to enjoy learning. I wanted to enjoy life without recognizing that I was learning or being taught. I wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to really understand through trial and error. In school, I felt like I was left behind as I didn't measure up or fit in with the rules of the class. I couldn't keep up. And because I couldn't, I learned to just not care. Remember I said that life has a way of challenging you? Well, life challenged me in a very big way. Life presented me with an option of homeschooling my children. Now, this was far from easy because I tried my best to center the lessons and my teaching skills around the learning curve of what was installed in me, and that didn't work. When I began to see my children shut down and tune out as I did, I saw myself in them. I understood that one way isn't always the way and best way to learn. I began then to write stories for them. I began writing in a way that made learning fun for them, and it turned out it was fun for me too. In doing so, I realized that I really enjoyed what I do because through writing and teaching, I have discovered myself. My name is Shannon Gilmore, and I am your host and presenter of this course, Escaping the Matrix of Narcissism. I am not a clinician, and I do not hold a doctorate or a PhD. I am not an expert by any means. But for this course, I am experienced in writing as I'm an experienced individual who has had 48 years of experience in dealing with narcissism from a personal perspective. From childhood trauma to dealing with friends and deep relationships, coworkers, and family members who express traits of narcissism. I am a Christian author, a peer support mentor with experience of over 20 years of helping others heal from painful issues such as suicide and depression, anxiety, relationship destructive patterns, as well as aiding in self-mastery and discovery. This course I have designed to help bring attention and awareness to a growing toxic epidemic within society that has victimized men, women, and children from all over the world. Known as Narcissistic Personality Disorder, or NPD, this course endeavors to help educate you who have suffered and who are currently suffering from the harmful effects of its abuse. No one is immune to narcissism, and it can be both healthy and toxic. This study course will help elucidate the difference to maneuver for yourself best practice methods on how to recognize and avoid and also interact safely with the would-be narcissist. I share with you both clinical and biblical assertions, and to be sure, I'm sure you know enough about narcissism already. However, in this study course, I'm going to share with you a little something you didn't know and didn't know what to ask when it comes to narcissism. This course follows chapter by chapter from my book that I have written entitled Narcissism, the Bad Boy Image. It was written in 2017, and the contents of that book are still relevant today. However, in this course, you are going to get some deeper insights. The objective of this course is to give you information based on clinical and biblical assertions that maybe clinicians haven't even thought about yet, that enable practical learning outcomes to promote awareness and healing from narcissism. The study offers comprehensive study in layman's terms to uncomplicate the issue of NPD, apart from societal definitions that offer confusion and misunderstanding. I wanted to bring something new to the table of awareness. I noticed that much of the help available comes from the point of understanding from an empathetic heart, meaning that much of the information that tries to answer our questions of why answers directly from a place that draws out empathy. A narcissist does not have empathy, and this much we all know. In knowing this, the questions that we seek can never be answered by ourselves, meaning it is difficult to find those succinct answers from outside sources. Some people who claim to be narcissists, and I'm sure they are, and they're doing a good thing by bringing awareness and attention to their personality disorder, and they have done their best to answer our questions. However, many of the answers that I have discovered, they have not answered my questions personally, and this set me on a quest to figure out the answers for myself. As most narcissists, they are serving their vainglory. The answers offered publicly are answers that placate our wounded hearts and serve to feed their egos of the would-be narcissist. My perspective is, if we cannot trust the narcissist in a relationship, how can we trust the narcissist to give us that's a new word. How can the narcissist give us relationship answers from standing on the outside, looking into our hearts? They can't, because they cannot relate to us. For this reason, I wanted an unbiased conclusion that caused me to think deeply. And for this, I had to turn inwardly to my own narcissistic tendencies I adopted because of my childhood trauma. Now, I don't consider myself a narcissist. I gravitated to these narcissistic tendencies because that's all I knew. I adopted what I saw, and I did not seek therapy to heal, as I did not believe that there was anything wrong with me. Now, narcissism is not a new term. However, the awareness and public understanding of it is. When I lost my children to my rage because of my childhood trauma, as they distanced themselves from me, that caused me to take a deep look at myself. In researching narcissism, I clearly saw a pattern within myself that could be traced far back as I can remember. I decided then to battle my inner wounds and connect with my inner childhood and answer those questions from survivors of narcissistic abuse. However, I realized that I was also an abused individual from narcissistic patterns from other people. Turning to God for help and adopting his ways through the teachings of Jesus have helped me immeasurably. And I can say that without empathy, I would have considered myself a full-blown narcissist, a toxic narcissist. I realized that I adopted the narcissistic qualities, as many of us do, This is natural, as this is a patterning that we have always known. I, for one, was surrounded by narcissists and their abuse. Knowing God has caused me to realize that I have always been his child and I lived among my enemies, but I did not belong to them. And after I found healing, I did not belong to the world. I realized I wanted to pursue love, not fear and hate like the narcissist does. I personally know now that taking on the narcissist qualities is something that we do in order to survive. We're in survival mode most of our lives, and that is what made me hurting because I was traumatized. I didn't know any other way, as most of us do not. So how can one live in love if they have never been shown love? That was me. I was never told that I was loved by my parents or foster parents. My family abandoned me as I didn't know the love of a father, and so that allowed narcissistic father figures in the form of romantic relationships into my life. I was a mess, and it took the love of God to help me to see that I belonged in heaven with him. I needed to see how to love myself so that I could understand the love of our Heavenly Father that he has for all of us, and why the narcissist does not have love for even themselves. The narcissists, well, they have their own motives, but God turns those heartless motives to serve the heart, as the narcissist's ways show us the way to love ourselves. Narcissists want to make us their lifelong victims. God has other plans. He uses the narcissist to strengthen ourselves so that love becomes the guiding factor in all we do. Letting go of the narcissistic patterns in my life to heal has been a challenge, as much as it has been the way to freedom. I lived as a foster child, and growing up in a foster family who looked so dissimilar to me caused my peers to question my place in my family. Their questions would open up the lines of communication where I was unable to talk about my deep pains and memories of my own family within my foster family home. My friends and peers who asked me questions on the school playground at recess gave me the floor so that I could speak. They let me know that my story mattered, that I mattered, and because of that, I am so grateful. Without the ability to talk to them and have these classmates really listen and show me empathy, that was my saving grace. I wouldn't have learned from them, and I wouldn't have discovered God's love, and I wouldn't have discovered myself. It is because of those people like you who unknowingly helped me to survive my trauma by giving me my voice back that I am here on YouTube and social media and Udemy today, helping you as I am here to help you raise your voice to narcissistic victimization. Sharing stories is never a bad thing. Talking about your trauma is healing. Raising your voice to cry out and admit that you are hurting and admit that you do need help, but not knowing where to turn, well, that's the first step into the journey of self-awareness, my friend, that leads you to your spiritual awakening and freedom. There's so much to learn about ourselves in the dynamics of narcissism by looking and peeling back the layers of that proverbial onion of the narcissist. It is my hope that this course will help you discover self-mastery as you understand the underpinnings of narcissism, to learn why this behavioral pattern in others has caused your life such upheaval and upset. God uses the enemy for his good and perfect plan, and I am convinced, after enduring the transition of awareness to healing within myself, that God sends the narcissist to expose us to ourselves. To understand the meaning within that statement takes a willingness to dig deeper. Are you ready? Because this course will provide you with the shovel with the X marks the spot, so that you can do that deep dive yourself into the heart of the matter, your heart, that narcissism exposes. By the end of this course, you will have acquired the ability to recognize NPD and utilize clear coping strategies to alleviate the trauma and abuse through proactive learning. You will also be able to assess toxic relationships to make appropriate changes by becoming self-aware as you take back your power and sound mind and spirituality that gives you a knowing to know what you know as you know it, as you see through the manipulative tactics that are meant to set you off balance. The manipulation of a narcissist is cunning, and when you can see the symptoms of abuse, you can then better heal from the brainwashing tactics of cognitive dissonance and enabling that the narcissist uses in order to keep you hooked once they have effectively convinced you that they are for your best interest. It is my greatest hope that by you taking this course, you will be able to set yourself free from the toxicity that tries to keep you from discovering who you are and your life's purpose. You are here for a purpose, and nothing in your life is by chance. You are divinely designed, and you are called to overcome the harmful effects of fear that the narcissist mongers you with, so that you can take your rightful position to walk in love as you are to live in love. Love is not just a state of being, but it's your state of being. By the end of this course, you will no longer just be a student, but a leader in love, to stand in the gap for love and in truth to help be the light that helps to guide others. This course will use video and whiteboard instruction, PDF handouts for your own personal use. There is no evaluation or grading. However, there are questions provided that I encourage you to answer. This course does not require you to purchase extra materials. However, you are welcome to purchase my book, Narcissism, the Bad Boy Image, available in paperback at Amazon.com, or you can download a PDF digital copy for your personal use. Thank you for taking the time to watch the introduction video of this course. I truly hope that this course is a source of insight for you that enables you to make you your focus, to focus less on the narcissist. It is my wish that you watch and learn from this course just once. I'm hoping that it'll only take one time for you to really learn from this course, to shift away from gravitating to all the information that's out there on narcissism. It's time to free ourselves from this coffee table term, as narcissism is our way of life. Now that we recognize it, now it's time to start doing something about it and begin becoming a proactive participant in life. Blessings and all the best to you.